Hi all, welcome to the session on baseband transmission. So we have looked in the previous session on how do we quantize the given sampled signal, and then after getting the uniformed quantized signal, how do we now transmit it, how do we now transmit that PCM wave. So that process we call it as baseband transmission. So for this we need to know how the waveform representation of binary digits has to be done. So we know this PCM, we are getting the coded digits as zeros and ones. Either it can be a 3-bit coded digit, or it can be a 4-bit coded digit, or 4-bit representation of the quantized samples. So it can be of any such kind of samples which can be represented. So if you take here, we are trying to basically represent that binary digits needed to be represented by a physical waveform. So whatever the binary digits that are existing, our duty is to represent that by usage of a physical waveform. So how do we represent that particular with the help of a physical waveform? So in this given example, we can see that there is a bit time slot which is given as t. So that is going to be the bit time slot, and then the code word time slot is there. The code word time slot refers to the transmission of the entire code. So that is what is code word time slot. Coming for the bit time slot, you can see each and every bit. Now if I take the code word, it is sectioned as 4-bit representation. So this 4-bit representation which is present here, the first code word which is present is 1011, and then the second code word 1001, and then 0110. So this particular bit has to be then binary represented with the usage of pulses. So if at all in that first bit time slot, if 1 is present, I have to represent it with a pulse amplitude, and if it is 0, I need not represent the pulse, and if I tell again 1 is present, I have to make use of the pulses. So this is how we are trying to transmit the bit stream, PCM bit stream, and hence the information in the quantized samples of a message. So now it is at the receiver end. How do they determine that the presence or absence of a pulse in each bit time slot? So for that, the likelihood of correctly detecting the presence of a pulse is a function of the received pulse energy. If at all the pulse energy at that bit time slot is high, or if it is maximum, then we decode it as it is 1. If the pulse energy is low at the next time slot, next bit time slot, then we decode it as 0. So that is how we can actually code and decode. Now we have the waveforms which is shown in this particular figure 2.21c. See what is this is this waveform as a sequence of present or absent pulses. We can actually try to say that this is a sequence of transition between two levels. What is this two levels? When the waveform occupies the upper voltage level, it represents a binary value, that is binary 1. When it occupies the lower voltage level, it represents a binary 0. So now for this particular bit interval, if I try to represent this bit interval, there is bit 1 being present, so it is taking up a binary upper or the upper voltage, and if there is no bit present at the next bit slot or the time slot, it is going to trace the negative value or the negative voltage level, which is equally representing as binary 0. Again for the next slots, next time slots here and here, it is present, so it is 1, or it is taking up the voltage, a higher voltage level, and the next two slots it is 0, so it is 0. So likewise it keeps on tracing each and every bit slots and assigns the exact waveform occupancy. Then coming for the next thing, which is PCM waveform types. So when pulse modulation is applied to binary symbols, the resulting binary waveform is called a pulse code modulated waveform. So when it is applied for a binary symbols, we call it as basically pulse code modulated waveform. So there are many types of PCM waveforms which are present. but in telephony applications we make use of line codes as early recognized, and then this pulse modulation is applied in non-binary symbol, and the resulting waveform, when this kind of pulse coded modulation is applied for non-binary symbols, the resulting waveform is what is that we are going to call it as M-array pulse modulation waveform. So we will try to understand what is this PCM waveforms and their types, and then M-array pulse waveforms, right. So before we go for M-array, let us look at the PCM waveforms. They fall into 4 groups. One is NRZ, which is non-return to 0, and then the next one is RZ, which is return to 0, and then next one is phase encoded, and the last one is multi-level binary. So we have all these types of PCM waveforms. So the first group is NRZ. So when it comes for NRZ, so this NRZ is non-return to 0, which is most commonly used PCM waveform types. So it can be again further subgrouped as NRZL, NRZM and NRZS. NRZL stands for L for level, NRZM for mark and NRZS for space. So these kinds of techniques we are trying to use it to code for a symbol or code for a bit that is present. So coming for the very first type or the very first subgroup, which is NRZL, L for level. NRZL is mainly used in digital logic circuits. So we have this NRZL which is represented here as we can see this NRZL. It is first at the first for 1 bit it is taking a positive value or 1 voltage level, and for binary 0 is represented by another voltage level, which means it is making a transition from plus V to minus V, and again for the next one it is moving from minus V to plus V, and then we have one more one which is like positive voltage is maintained as it is. So a binary 1 is represented by 1 voltage level, means if either it can be a positive voltage level or a negative voltage level. If from the beginning if we start like for 1 we are trying to represent as plus V, throughout the representation we will be representing it as plus V, and for 0 we will be representing it as minus V. So that is how we can have the NRZL being represented, which is the level. L stands for level, and then we have the next thing which is NRZM. The 1 or mark is represented. So you can see here the 1 or mark is represented by the change in level, and 0 or space is represented by no change in level. So for 1 if I start with a positive voltage here plus V, I will be retaining there itself. For 0 I am not going to change the level. So for the next 0 I am not going to change the level, I am going to retain back myself. So let me write the bits here. It is 1 1 0 1 1. So now for the first case it is 1, I have started at positive plus V. So for 0 I am not going to change, it will remain as it is, and for next one I am going to change my level, or I am going to transit from plus V to minus V, and I am going to remain the same. Again for next one I am going to make the change, which means that a mark is represented by a change in level for 1, and the 0 or space is represented by no change in level. There is no transition which is going to happen for 0. It is going to continue in the same state as previously 1 was present. So this kind of techniques we oftenly refer to as differential encoding. Then we have this being used in magnetic tape recordings. So these are the things which are available in magnetic tape recorders. So we have the next one, which is which is 1011. Let me take those as the bit. It is exactly now NRZS. S stands for space. So this S is exactly the complement of NRZM. 1 is represented by no change in level and 0 is represented by a change in level. So now 1 is represented with no change in level. When it comes for the next bit to be 0, it has to make a transition, move from negative to positive, and it has to remain at plus V. And for next one, no change in level, and for next one, no change in level, and for next 0th bit, it has to make a transition to the negative value, and for again next 0 bit, it has to make the transition. So that is how it will go for NRZ. Yes. So these are the three subcategories of NRZ, that is non-return to 0. This will not return to the 0th axis, wherein it will hold on the values only at plus V and minus V. And coming for the subgroups of NRZ, which is L for level, M for mark, and S for space. So M and S are complement of each other. The RZ waveform is the next category, which is return to 0, which consists of unipolar RZ, bipolar RZ, and RZ AMI. Coming for the first category, which is unipolar RZ, 1 is represented by a half bit wide pulse. Before we go for how it is represented, in unipolar, it means that it is going to have only one polarity, which is from 0 to plus V or from 0 to minus V, that is all, not plus V to minus V. Then coming for unipolar, here we are taking it as from 0 to plus V. So for every one, it is going to make use of the representation as half bit wide, 1/2 bit wide pulse which is present. For 0, there will be nothing which is going to be present, which means 0 is represented as 0 itself. So that is what is, or it is nothing but it is represented as the absence of the pulse, which you can see here. So for 1, it is represented with a half pulse, and then for 0 it is 0, and again for the next one it is half pulse, and again for the next one it is half pulse. So that is how it is present. So then moving on for the bipolar RZ representation, the 1 is represented with a half bit pulse, and then 0 is exactly the representation which we have done in the 1, which is going to be opposite, and again it, both of them here, either 1 or 0, are represented by opposite level pulses that are 1/2 bit wide. So that is how we keep on representing. Now this is for 0, and then for 1 we have 1 being represented which is half wide, again for the next one which is half wide. So that is how we represent for a bipolar RZ. Coming for RZ AMI, which is alternate mark inversion, it is a signaling scheme used in telephone systems. The ones are represented by equal amplitude and alternating pulses. The zeros are represented by absence of pulses. So you can see 1 is represented by equal amplitude everywhere, here, wherever the pulses are present, it is all the representation for 1, but alternatively we will have the pulse, and for 0 it is always going to be the absence of the pulse. So for 1 we have the pulse here, and then for 0 we are going to have the absence of the pulse. Now this is there at the positive plus V, and for the next one it is going to be there at the minus V, and again for the next one it is going to be there at the plus V volts. So that is why the name alternate mark inversion, which is used in telephone systems. So coming for the applications of this particular RZ waveforms, it is It finds application in baseband data transmission and in magnetic tape recording, and one more is telephony systems. We have the other categories of the coding techniques or the PCM waveforms, which is like phase encoded and multi-level binary encoded. These mainly finds the applications in which is like very important coding, which is biphase level, which is bi-phi L, better known as Manchester coding, and then we have biphase mark, biphase space. So all this along with delay modulation or DM, which is also called as Miller coding. These kinds of coding techniques basically finds applications in data communication as well as magnetic recording systems, optical communications, and sometimes also used in satellite telemetry links. So you can definitely explore the rest of the coding techniques which are being given here for the PCM waveforms. The next is some of the PCM waveform considerations that we have to look for, or some of the parameters that we have to look for a particular kind of application. One is DC component. So when it comes for DC component, we need to eliminate the DC energy in order to enable the system to be AC coupled, or the signal power spectrum enables the system to be AC coupled. Such kind of applications are found in wherein we want to apply eliminate the DC component is like magnetic recording systems. And then we have the next point, which is self clocking. Symbol or bit synchronization is required for any digital communication system. So the Manchester code has a transition in the middle of every bit interval, whether 1 or 0 is being sent. This guaranteed transmission provides a clocking signal. So every such kind of PCM coding scheme should also have a recovery of the clock signal, which is we in our terms call it as self clocking. Then we have error detection. Some schemes like duobinary, they provide the means of detecting data errors, so which is very much important in any of the data transmission, like error detection in the bit sequence, in the data bit sequence is very important. So we also have a parameter to be considered for different applications is error detection. And then one more is bandwidth compression. Some of the multi-level schemes which we have seen has got increase or it increases the efficiency of the bandwidth, utilizing the whole of the bandwidth by allowing the reduction in required bandwidth for a given data rate. Thus there is more information getting transmitted per unit bandwidth. So that is what we call it as bandwidth compression, which is basically done if we make use of multi-level codes. Then we have the next one, which is differential encoding. This technique is useful as because it allows the polarity of differential encoded waveforms to be inverted without affecting the data getting detected. So there should be something which has to provide some difference between the codes that we are trying to detect, or the particular bits that we are trying to detect or encode. So such kind of things are being provided by differential encoding schemes. So in communication systems where waveforms sometimes experience inversions, so that is where this is of greater advantage. Then we have noise immunity. So the various PCM waveform schemes have better error performance. So how do they have better error performance is, whatever the different PCM waveform types we have further characterized by the probability of bit error versus signal to noise ratio. These are very much immune than the noise. These kinds of signals or schemes are very much immune to the noise. So that is why we say noise immunity is must to be considered in PCM waveform. As an example, NRZ waveform have better error performance than does the unipolar RZ waveform. So NRZ is good when compared to that of the unipolar RZ waveform. Moving on to the next topic, which is spectral densities of various PCM waveforms. So we are trying to have the plot of spectral characteristics, wherein we want to consider what is called as bit synchronization capabilities, error detecting capabilities, noise immunity, interference, cost and complexity of implementation. All these things can be put in a single plot, which is spectral characteristics of the PCM waveforms, the different PCM waveforms that we have plotted or that we have seen so far. The figure here, it actually shows the PSD, power spectral density in watts per hertz versus normalized bandwidth. So on the other side we have the power spectral density. On the x axis we have the normalized bandwidth Wt, where W is the bandwidth and T is the duration of the pulse. So that is where Wt is often referred to as time bandwidth product of the signal. So since the pulse or symbol rate Rs is the reciprocal of T, that is the duration of the pulse, so I can represent it as W by Rs, which is the symbol rate. So I can represent that as a normalized bandwidth, which can be expressed as W by Rs. So now let us have the comparison of all these waveforms which are being given here. Example, let us consider a delay modulation and a duo binary kind of PCM waveform. One is this delay modulation and one more is the duo binary. So by comparing any waveform type that requires more than 1 hertz of sending 1 symbols per second is relatively band inefficient. What is that we are trying to specify here is the bandwidth considered or taken by the delay modulation is 0.6, but whereas the bandwidth that is taken up by your duo binary is how much, this dotted line, it is 1.6 plus 1.7. So when we consider both the bandwidths, delay modulation is actually carrying more amount of data but with a given lesser amount of the bandwidth, whereas duo binary, it is consuming less amount of the spectrum density, but it is covering but it is having a bandwidth which is of very much large. So this kind of techniques we have to avoid. One more example, if we consider NRZ and duo binary schemes have large spectral components at DC and low frequency, while biphase has no energy at DC. So what does it mean? So they both have the large spectral components at DC and low frequencies, while biphase has no energy at DC. So that is what we are trying to represent here with the spectral density. Biphase energy is less when compared to that of NRZ and duo binary. So that's how we keep on tracking each and every characteristics of the PCM waveform with the help of the spectral densities being plotted here. Bits per PCM word and bits per symbol. So what is that we now need to look at is how many bits shall we assign for a given analog signal. So that is done by making use of a proper size of the PCM word size. So what does this actually tell us is it will tell us the required number of bits per analog sample for the allowable quantization distortion. So now for example, let us consider there is a quantization error E which is not greater than the fraction P of the peak to voltage VPP. So which means my E is well within, my E is less than or equal to P times or the fraction of the peak to peak voltage. Then we also know that if I consider this maximum value of E, this maximum value of E is nothing but it cannot be no longer than my quantile value, which is Q by 2. What is Q? Q we know, which is VPP by L minus 1. So we are replacing that as VPP by 2 into L minus 1, which is nothing but approximately VPP by 2L, where L is the number of quantization levels. So for most of the application, the number of levels is large enough so that this L minus 1 can be replaced by L. So as we have already done in the above example as VPP by 2L. Then from these equations we can further write as VPP by 2L is much less than or equal to P VPP. And then we know one more thing. What is this bit L? L is equal to logarithm to base 2 of L. So L we know it is the levels. We want to calculate how many number of bits. Then we can represent this as 2 to the power of L to be equal to L, which is greater than or equal to 1 by 2p levels. If I go with bits, it is L will be greater than or equal to log 2 into 1 by 2p bits. So this is very important. We should not confuse this with that of the k data bits per symbols that we have already studied in M level transmission. So this is PCM word. So let us keep ourselves confined or constrained confined to small l representing the number of bits transmission. Capital L is going to tell us how many number of quantization levels are going to exist for a PCM word. So that is how we can actually calculate how many bits per PCM words are present or bits per symbol is present. So bits per symbol we will be covering it very soon in our M array pulse modulation waveform. So in this particular session we have learnt about the topic which are related to PCM, types of PCM, and then we moved on to what is spectral density or the spectral characteristics that is being exhibited by various PCM waveforms, and what are the parameters that we have to consider for any kind of applications that has to be present for a PCM waveform. And then we have now looked into what should be the size or what should be the bits per PCM word that is going to be present and what should be the size of that particular word has to be. Moving on to the next concept, which is M array pulse modulation waveform. We will look at this in the next subsequent sessions. Thank you.